For example, Vecna. Yeah, originally Vecna was never a god, and being a lich, originally he was a lich, an evil villain, one of the main bad guys that you could find, that you could face in the Ravenloft setting, and regardless of what power he had, that he had gathered, or followers and whatnot, being a lich, much like being a devil or a demon, I don't think he could have ascended. He could have ascended to godhood. But when 3rd edition came out, as soon as you open the book and you open up to the page of the chapter regarding religions, there it is. Vecna's a god all of a sudden. There was also a similar mistake, and again, forgive me for using the term, but I do feel that's exactly what it is. There's a similar mistake in 4th edition. In 4th edition, now Asmodeus is a god. He's the god of evil. No, he's not. Asmodeus was originally the Lord of Hell. Basically, as far as the D&D world, the D&D game setting was concerned, Asmodeus was the devil, or Lucifer, Satan, whatever name you want to call him by. Those are just two examples of some of the problems that a lot of the older gamers, the ones who played the ones who have played the first few editions of D&D, who are still around and still playing D&D. That's what was printed in the original books, and of course that's what we remember. So yeah, the mythologies of the D&D worlds and whatnot could definitely be touched up a bit, and maybe if they could return it to reset everything back to the way it used to be and whatnot, then that could be. I think that would be something that would bring a lot of. That could be something that would bring a lot of older players, older fans of D&D back into the fold, if you will. On that note, too, I think also perhaps revisiting some of the older books, some of the older source books that were printed in and for first edition D&D might be of benefit as well, including some of the other settings and whatnot. In 3rd and 4th edition, we did get the Forgotten Realms setting was reprinted for 3rd edition and 4th edition. Then, of course, the Eberron setting, which didn't come out until well into 3rd edition and 3.5's Reign of Power, as it were, Time on the Throne. And of course, the information was reprinted to reflect the newly revised game mechanics of 4th edition and whatnot, which was good. But I think that there were a lot of other settings that they could have published that were definitely lacking. And if the game is now going to be a little bit more modular, a little bit more of a toolbox type of game, where the GMs can use the bits that they like in order to make it work for their own game and everything, then I think some of the other settings should definitely come back. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't recall ever seeing a Dark Sun source book or Dark Sun materials put out for 3rd edition or 3.5. I'm fairly certain that they have done Dark Sun. They have put out Dark Sun stuff for 4th edition. But some of the other settings, I think, putting out stuff for the other settings, I do think could be of benefit as well. For example, Al-Khadim, which is a 1001 Arabian Nights kind of setting for D&D. Dark Sun again, as long as Dark Sun makes an appearance again, I think a lot of people would be happy, because I know there's a lot of people out there who really enjoy the Dark Sun, setting. Ever since it came out, I know that Eberron has been really popular, and me personally, I did really, really enjoy the Eberron setting. I liked how Eberron originally is where action points came from, and the way they did action points in 3.5. I think that could be of benefit again. Not to go too far off on a tangent, get sidetracked here, but they do have action points in fourth edition now, and again, I think that I think that doing action points the way they used to in 3.5 would be, going back to that, would be a bit better. How you get to roll an extra d6 for. You get to roll an extra d6 every time you spend an action point. You get to add that to like an attack roll, an ability, a skill check roll, something like that. I really like that. I really miss that. I do like how they incorporated that into, again, not to go too far off subject, I do like how they incorporated that into Saga Edition Star Wars, and that's essentially force points. Whenever you spend a force point, is when you get to roll the extra d6. And I think if they could bring that back in 5th edition, that'd be awesome. But again, as with settings, the Oriental Adventures setting I think would be a good idea to bring that back, as opposed to just putting out a few classes and a few of the books that kind of maybe fit into that. And I'm also on that subject too. I'm also really hoping that it'll be something like its own Oriental Adventures. If it comes out again, should be given its own book, and perhaps even its own setting. If they want to, if they were to develop their own Eastern lands with a Japanese or Chinese like culture, or actually any of the Eastern or Asian cultures, for that, I think would be pretty cool. I think it would be really cool if they could work on that. And the only problem that I ever had with Oriental Adventures when it came out for 3rd edition, it always seemed like kind of a cop-out on the part of AEG to me, who are the ones who originally did, of course, 7th Sea, one of my favorite games, and Legend of the Five Rings. If you look at the inside the cover of the somewhere in the foreword, I want to say, if you look inside the first few pages of the Oriental Adventures 3rd edition book, it actually says, "Oh, by the way, if you're looking for D20 L5R, this is it." Which I always thought was just really kind of lame, because the front cover of the book says Dungeons and Dragons Oriental Adventures. If you wanted to play, if you wanted to play Dungeons and Dragons, you'd be playing Dungeons and Dragons, not L5R. Again, back to a couple settings that they could bring back. I talked about it quite briefly in one of my other videos, but I actually think that if they could bring back Ravenloft the way Ravenloft was originally. Ravenloft was originally its own plane, its own world, referred to as a demiplane. It was the demiplane of Dread. If they could bring it back as its own world, as its own setting, instead of just a collection of modules or adventures that can be squeezed into anybody's campaign, I think that would be of benefit as well. Because for the longest time, for many years, as many older gamers older fans of D&D will remember, Ravenloft was not a place for the faint of heart, and it was not a place that you wanted to go to. As far as harsh and difficult to survive settings and modules go, it was pretty much Dark Sun and Ravenloft were tied, for the number one spot. As a matter of fact, and a lot of the Dark Sun, and the reason for that, of course, is that the world of Athos, Dark Sun itself, the world of Athos is such a harsh. Difficult place to survive, in character, let alone out of character, just playing the game, just playing a character on that world, that the supplements, the materials actually suggested beginning your character at 3rd level, just pretty much assuming that if your character is hardy enough to survive living on Athos, then at character creation, bam, they're already 3rd level at the very least. And Ravenloft, again, being the demiplane of Dread, as with most other demiplane type settings, demiplane type worlds, the entire the entire purpose behind it was, of course, to kind of what is to instill the people who live there, the denizens of Ravenloft, as it were, as it used to be, with a feeling of dread and impending doom. Because again, it was a very, very difficult place to survive. The nights in Ravenloft were longer than the days, regardless of the time of year. And every night you had vampires walking the land, you had undead rising from their graves. The land was rife with werewolves and other kinds of monsters. It was basically a really, really awesome. It was actually a really, really awesome D&D survival horror. Probably, I would say, I could be wrong again, but I would say like the original survival horror type setting, original survival horror type game, while at the same time still being D&D and allowing fans of Dungeons and Dragons to enjoy it. But again, difficult. But again, a difficult place to survive. So. If they could publish, also of course, if they publish the Dragonlance setting for 5th edition, that would be good. And if they wanted to be able to make it truly modular and truly able to fit every style of gaming, they should also consider. I think they should also consider reprinting the Council of Worms setting and the Spelljammer setting for Dungeons and Dragons. Again, for those who may not be familiar with it, because again, they were both they both spanned the gap between 1st and 2nd edition, but Spelljammer was kind of a high fantasy spacefaring sort of setting, and everybody kind of ran around in spelljamming ships, basically magically powered spaceships and everything, which was actually kind of cool, as well as Council of Worms, which was a 2nd edition module. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Which was a 2nd edition setting that allowed players to play dragons. They actually had rules to play dragons as player characters, and in that, of course, there had to be something of a balance. So playing a dragon was actually fairly difficult. Or I should say it was difficult to level up and to advance, because in addition to gaining levels, you also had to acquire a certain amount of horde, and then of course you also had to physically age. So again, that was kind of the counterbalance to it, is that it took a while for characters to level up and everything. But if they could find a way to bring those two back in, I think that'd be very good. So all in all, my final point was go back to the beginning, back into some of the older materials, and possibly reprint those with rules compatible with 5th edition. So that's it. That's all. That's all my thoughts on the subject currently. As more information comes out, I might have another opinion or two. And again, as always, these are just my opinions. I could be wrong. If you feel differently, if you agree or disagree, please feel free to post comments, message me through all the usual means and whatnot. Thanks again. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm Gabriel Stryffe, coming at you from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Aquitas Veritas Bellatus.